All right, give me a minute and I'll be good to go. Where's that fan? Hey guys, I don't have time for all that. And I guess we're gonna have to deal with the white lights and everything today. Like it's way too fucking bright. I don't even know why it's so bright, but let's see if that'll do anything. Does that do anything to it? All right, how about this? What's this do? Oh, good Lord. How about that? What's that do? Does that do anything? Does that make it better? Oh, that's what we get. That's what we get today. So I don't have time for it. Maybe if I do this and drop that, it'll block out some of that monitor. Let's give me that glare. There it goes. Got rid of some of that. This is what we got today. I will start this over so that people can see how we got there, and kind of go from there. So, and you can see, right, what you're dealing with this morning. Now, if you drop this down, to here. See how you're trying to break out and you're having a tough time and you're hitting it again. I'm just not so sure you're going to break out of this. So I would really watch that. I mean, you hit it and you hit it hard. So 69.05 to me seems to be the level to really watch. And that's all just from dropping. All I did for people that ask is all I've done is gone to this peak and drop the anchored volume profile coming straight across. It's the only thing I've done. You can see how you respect it here. You can see how the point of control has been dropping, which is really good. Maybe Oracle or Itchy or AVGO makes it pop over. But until then, you have an area in here. So I think it's more stock selection than market selection. And frankly, that's really how I say it. So I think 69.05, I really do. I think that 69.05 level, I think that's going to be a real problem there. So that's kind of how I see that. Trying to think what else I have that's super interesting here that's worth addressing with the ES. I think it's really where, really how I say it. I don't know that there's much more there. You could always take this and get the volume and go to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And drop a VWAP from there just to see what's going on from that Sunday open. And you can see you're trying to wrestle with it. You hit it and you're holding, but I don't know. I don't know how significant that's really going to be. I think that the bottom obviously is going to be pretty significant, but you're nowhere near it. So it's kind of pointless to have on a chart. I think it's good that you're holding it, but I don't think that's like the cat's pajamas. Like I really don't. I don't think it's that big a deal. So if we kind of look at this, what do you really have? I mean, this is really where you're at. So I don't really see much here, guys, that like that's really going to do anything. That's really kind of how I see it. So, I don't know. Let me just kind of blow that up even more so you can see where you're at. And, maybe there's something there. Like maybe that's, like they're stepping you up. But it's almost a reversal of what we've seen where they're slapping it down to trying to get it to break out. So I'm not so sure that's what we're going to see there. So that's kind of how I say it. But, we'll go from there. We'll see how that plays out. Let's go take a look at the NQ. And then I'm going to take a bunch of questions today because I do have to wrap this up by 9. And we'll get to the NQ level right in here. 2. You are trying to flip it, but, it's the same thing. So I'll start over so you can say it. Now, all we're doing is just going to the top of this. This is all I'm doing because people are like, well, what special thing? It's not special. It's just right here. That's all I'm doing. Anchored volume profile. I'm anchoring to that spot. That's all I'm doing. And because that is a peak of pain. Wow, I made a rhyme. Peak of pain. It sounds like a movie, doesn't it? Starring Stallone. Peak of pain. Anyway, if you take a look at this right here, you can see how you're holding that volume low. You really are not flipping a point of control underneath this. It's kind of holding that. And if you really dive into this, what you've been doing is whacking it back over until eventually it became what? Support, right? And then you just exploded. Now you're kind of whacked in here. So you're kind of locked in those ranges. CTAs are definitely net buyers, which is good. You're nowhere near this VWAP. You can't even test the damn thing. So that's good. I just think it's too far, too fast. You might be a little exhausted, and you're going into 3 key things. You drop it there. You can say it. Dropped it like it's hot again. Boom. So you're running into that stuff. And I think that's really important. I'll just drop it right here on the peak one more time. And so when we drop that back to a 5 and you zoom in on it, it's not rocket science. You're still fighting it. It doesn't mean you're not going to flip it, but that in and of itself becomes your real problem from a market perspective. If you're out there, individual names, which is really the way that I think you should be going today more than the market, I think that makes way more sense than just looking at the market. But this is really what you have, and this is really what you're dealing with. So I don't really see a reason why that's going to change. at all. So we'll go from there. We'll see how that plays out. But other than that, what else do I really have on the indexes? That's pretty much it from an index perspective. I'm going to do questions. I think we're better off doing that. And let me see if I have some kind of banner. Let me show that one out there. I think it's a good one for today. I don't think I have anything else on that. Let me hide that for a second and go take a look at it. Do I have anything else out there? Oh, that's a good one because that tells me when people can do. I'm looking at some of these banners. Gold's opaque, quantum's opaque. Well, if nothing, at least you know where I stand. Let's do a bunch of questions. It'll be fun. I love when we can do stuff together. CAT. Yeah, it's definitely there. The question is, what is the dollar going to do, right? But it's definitely there. The other thing that's good about this too, if you think about it, the CAT, John Deere, farmers. So farmers get subsidies. Farmers get these bailouts they're talking about, tractor supply. You would think that would benefit them. The Caterpillar trade to me, it was, the trade was back here. For me, it's a tough one. That's a tough one now, man, because what are you going to do? Buy here? Yeah, I'm not really feeling that. I mean, I get it, but that's not really my kind of trade. Not now. I've missed that. I would say this looks like it's setting up to drop its next hot album. You see the base? Yeah, I think that these things are all washed out from Amazon doing their own thing and everything else, but I just don't know that I really want to buy these, John. I mean, maybe you can get to 312, maybe. I'm trying to find a way to describe it. The answer is no. Like the answer to that, is no. Like I know that people are seeing all this stuff where they're like looking at these names and they're like, oh, this is the one because it's tied to TPUs, it's tied to all this stuff. I'm not really seeing that there. I'm not really thinking that that's the one that I need to buy. Like at all. I'm just not seeing it that way. But I don't know how to explain it. I'm not doing a really good job. And I'm use your words. This should be moving a lot more for the news that's coming out. This should be moving a lot more for the news that's coming out. They should be. They should be zooming with the news that's coming out. It's not what we're saying, right? Now, this one makes a lot of sense to me, and it can make as much sense to me as I want. But technically, I have an issue here. So all the NeoCloud stuff, to me, see, like here's the problem with this. Who brought this up? So what's your name? Sock Doc? Whatever, dude. If you think about this, like that's a TPU, right? And then you think about this that's a GPU. Just think about it like that for a second. So if you start thinking about the difference in space that these things are going to take up, is that why you're not seeing these like neo cloud companies do as big? Because they realize they're not going to need as much space. And I think that's what you're dealing with. I think Google is just, to me, the fact that Google's not up more is staggering. Like just outright staggering. Like, I couldn't figure out why this guy at Berkshire was buying it, and then I'm like, oh, because I got this, like I understood this, and I did buy that when the FTC said, after 5 years, just don't do it again, and Google went, okay, like that was just such an easy trade to buy that and forget you own it, but like. The larger issue for me in looking at this is I don't truly think people are getting this yet. And the fact that they own 7% of SpaceX, which was just an extra, 50 billion, like nothing. And the stock went like sideways on it. It's like, okay. Kind of interesting. All right. That's good. Yes. I don't know that semis are going to lead. What I think so interesting about what you're bringing up is this. You're getting new leaders. So let's roll that question back, because I think it's an interesting question, because are semis going to lead? Well, they haven't been. XBI has been leading. So like if you take XBI and you divide it by the stocks and you want to just see relative performance, and let's go to a bear chart, and then we'll go to this, and then we'll drop it down. And I do have to go at 9 today. So, so I'm just reminding myself of that. But if I look at this and go, all right, well, surely semis have been leading, right? Have they? I mean, biotech and semis since May, since we had all that winning and liberation, people started putting a hell of a lot more money in the biotech, because they're like, well, I don't have to worry about tariffs. And so you have this entire base down here, and then you had this breakout. Now you're coming back, retesting that line. So I don't know that semis are going to, win and lead. Here's what I do think we know. NVIDIA is not the leader anymore. I think we can say that with confidence. Like NVIDIA is below the 55-day moving average. You start looking at this stuff and people all of a sudden woke up and are like, oh, hey, none of this exists without ASML. And then you need these other pieces like KLAC, AMAT. It's like all of a sudden everybody realized you need these pieces. The most interesting thing about this for me was, the earnings of this day. And then all of a sudden everyone said, oh, wait a minute, we really need AMAT. And I thought that was like super interesting. Like, oh yeah, we really do need this company. Lam Research, just like people aren't getting or understanding they need this stuff. It's so fascinating to me. Like $80, nobody wanted this thing in July. Now look at it, and it's just been an outright, monster of a trade. So yeah, I do think some of this stuff you really want to look at, you really want to pay attention to. So what's leading? Like, what are the ones that are leading that we have to pay attention to? It's somewhat interesting, because to me, I think that AVGO is going to become the leader. I really do believe that. And it makes a lot of sense. Their growth rate's like 2 or 3x what NVIDIA is. And no one's really paying attention to that. So for whatever reason, everybody's super obsessed with AMD, which, I keep shorting it, but I keep losing because everyone's short it, because everyone knows what a pig it is. So I do think the stocks can lead. I think it's interesting to find out what names are going to lead. I'd be more interested in what names lead the stocks. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like Taiwan Semi just makes it like I'm watching people. I own Taiwan Semi, but I'm laughing because like everyone's saying, "Oh, well, you got to go buy Intel because Taiwan Semi sold out." Well, if everybody's trying to run into Taiwan Semi's door and say, do business with me, do business with me, and then there's another company over here that's like, oh, we have tons of space. And you're like, oh, okay, I'll use them, I guess. Like, that's not really the company you want to buy, but I get it. People will do it because, quote unquote, it's cheap. I would just rather buy the winner. It just has always worked out for me. If I just buy number one, I do better. So I'll just do that. If I take a look at Oracle, to me, you're going to find out a lot on earnings. A lot of people became CDS and repo experts here. And, this is where I was last time. This is where I'm at now. This is where we were last quarter's earnings. For some reason, everyone thinks they're going to miss. Okay. I do agree with the whole thing. $1 trillion that OpenAI is throwing around. I mean, he looks like a joke. And, he does. He really looks like a joke. Oh, don't question me or some of your stock back. He looks ridiculous. Or, we're going to have to make decisions. Are we going to cure cancer or fix the education system? Bro, your thing acts like Clippy right now. How about you fix it? So I think you have to look at stuff like that, first, and then go, yeah, maybe there is an issue there. But you're telling me Oracle, all of a sudden Oracle is going to have space that they could sell and nobody wants it? Mm-mm. No, they'll be able to sell it in no time. And they know that. They know that. So that's how I see it anyway. I own it. I think that this was a gift at 185, just an outright gift. And it's one of those things that I didn't get enough off. I wound up getting it a little higher, and I'm just I wake up in a cold sweat, so annoyed by it because it was such a freaking gift. And it was so obvious that it was done going down. I do think that at some point, this stuff comes home to roost. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm long. So, but this is the place to be. Lemonade, I'm not going to have time, John. Hello from Tokyo. Hello from Miami. ROK and C. Okay. This is interesting. I don't know. I mean, I see the word automation. I'd love to know more. Tell me more about your automation. I'd like to really look into this. That's beautiful. See how you've been doing that for years? Years and years and years and years and years. Tests, sideways, breaks out. I mean, it's actually perfect. It's actually perfect, dude. Just a more conservative estimate. Still puts you at 440. Still probably 10% there. Pretty easy, man. I really like this. This is really what I'm looking for, too. It's kind of that low beta stuff. Look at Teradyne, too, Jacob, when you get a chance. I'm not going to have time to go through them all. C makes sense to me. It always did. It always made sense to me from a book value standpoint. It never, ever made sense. It's one of those names when it was down in here, at 70. I kept looking at this it's the only bank trading under book value. It makes zero freaking sense. So yeah, that was definitely on my radar. Here you're breaking out, maybe they fixed all their stuff and their synergies and, there's something to it. I mean, it's kind of crazy how, this thing just keeps beating down. It's 855 already, huh? I don't know that that's the one. And, I'm just not sure that that's the one. I mean, I keep going looking at JP Morgan and Goldman. And Goldman just kills me because every single time that you pull back and it drops 100 points, you're like, oh, that's it. It's going to get smoked. And then all of a sudden it's nope. I mean, it's just, this thing's just nuts, man. Absolutely nuts. You go back to 5 years ago, you realize you were $130. Now you're $8. Like, it's just crazy where some of this stuff was and what you could do with it. So anyway, yeah, I think that BE's interesting out of those. That's really gotten a decent move coming out of that base, and there's real business there. LEU, I like too. Those reversals kind of bother me. I keep watching this OKLO because I think they're going to get squeezed, but we'll see. What's up, Mom? I'm going to try to get through this as fast as I can. I saw that downgrade. There's no bend the knee. They're never getting this deal done. I read a whole article on it this weekend that they don't want to even, that they'd rather pay the $5 billion breakup than let Paramount buy it, which is why they're doing it. So really the whole purpose of this thing is for them to like give, like I read this whole thing on it. The whole purpose is to give Warner Brothers $5 billion to slow down these guys from buying it, to slow down Paramount from buying it. So that's going to be super interesting. I mean, there's no way this gets through. Like there's just, if it does, then what's the purpose of antitrust? Like there's just no way that this gets through. Too many people are too many people are screaming about it, including the entire Hollywood is screaming about it. So, I mean, they've made it quite clear. Their goal is to just, put theaters out of business, watch it from home, watch on our programs. They'll control entertainment, period. So I don't really think that it's going to go through. I personally don't think that it does. So, we'll see. You never know how this stuff plays out, but I think it's a huge distraction for Netflix. But I think they just don't want Paramount to buy it. And I think they're willing to give a $5 billion breakup fee in order for that to happen. That's kind of where my head is with it. So from my standpoint, when you see stuff like, it bidding down, I'd wait for it to get smoked, and then maybe I'll buy it, because I think that you're going to get Paramount. Like, I actually think that what's going to happen is Paramount's going to go hostile and say, they're not doing this for the best interest of shareholders. We want a proxy. We want to vote, like who doesn't want 30 cash versus 27 and, Netflix stock? Maybe the families don't, because they don't want to pay that. Because like if you do a stock swap, you don't pay taxes on that. So that could have something to do with it. What's up, Tariq? Yeah, the storage names look really good. Those names are very interesting today. Thoughts on UMAC? I'm not watching UMAC. I don't really have an opinion on Panther. I'm not going to do commodity. I'm not going to do currencies this morning. I don't have the time. I don't really have an opinion on it. I mean, you came down to support level. Maybe you hold it. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I have no idea what that's going to do here. I truly don't. Like you're in the middle. I don't really think you're in play. I don't think there's much to do there. Hello from Hungary. Hello from Miami. Yeah, CoreWeave's a tough one. I saw that. The question really is like, is it worth the $1 now? I don't know. Like, probably not. Did it reopen? Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's really worth that. Like if you could get some at like 29 or something, maybe I'd buy it. If you could get it off at like 29 and then you're sitting with it for however long you need to, that might make sense to me. But other than that, I don't really have any interest. And if it could pull back to 29, I'd buy a stake for, whatever. You're crazy not to, because it's free money. If you're like trying to figure out where to deploy capital, just do it. But at 30, do I really want the dollar that bad? Probably, probably not. I probably don't. So yeah, it's very similar to that where you just have to print the thing and just forget you own it. Like that's really what you have to do with Spotify, in my opinion. It's like one of those companies you just want to own. You actually want them to go lower so you can just buy them cheaper. Like it's really like one of those kinds of things. That's how I feel about it. When I look at Spotify, like, oh man, I hope this thing gets smoked so I can buy more. It's really like that with Goldman when you go back and look at it through the years. Like, if you ever really went and studied this thing and, here you are at 220 and it just never moved, it was probably the best thing that ever happened for like a decade, 2 decades. You just could have bought the living hell out of this thing forever. And now you're getting that, this kind of move out of it. But that's really what you're looking for with these kinds of names. You just buy them and you sit with them and then all of a sudden you'll get some move and then it'll consolidate and like they're not going anywhere. You'll have your ups and your downs, but that's really where you're at. But back in the day, number one in motor drives. Do they? Yeah, it's pretty interesting. That chart's pretty interesting. So yeah, that's all it is. 12, 22, and 55. Open, high, low, close. Pumpkin time. I got to go, guys. Thanks, Steven. All right, I got to jump, guys. Trade to win. Make good choices.